Does it feel close? I mean, you're still
bowl game?
Yeah.
It does. It's been really, really good and refreshing to kind of go back and have a phase to really go back and focus on fundamental skills with the guys. Still while kind of slowly spoon feeding a game plan, into, get ready for the bowl game. But it's good. You know what I mean? What I think we're working pretty hard to make sure it stays enjoyable, that it's, we're simultaneously learning to continue to be around each other and enjoy being around each other, right? It's the holidays, right? After about 1 or 2 days when the whole family's there, how long does it take for someone gets in a fight, right? Over a game of Risk or Monopoly. So we're doing a good job of keeping things fun and light and focus on development, for guys, especially who could benefit some more reps. But again, here we are, you're coming up on National Signing Day. Of course, we've been balancing, the schedules of recruiting and game planning and preparing our team. And then, you look, how many days till Christmas? What is it, 7?
Depending on how you count. If today's over.
Yeah, whatever, right? So it's right there, we're a week away, and then you're like, man, we're getting on the plane and heading down there. So it feels close, but it's not that close yet, right? But we definitely, there's a sense of urgency to making sure we know what we're doing. We're playing down there. It's changing.
Sure, you talked about the slow spoon feeding. That's a good way to put it. How slow is that? I mean, the first couple of weeks, did you do any Arkansas, or was it just...
When we first started the transition, we did not. You know what I mean? We actually let the guys who were seniors and some of the older guys not even have to take reps. Okay. The guys who had taken, 800-900 reps all season long didn't need to practice. So the sole development from the jump was for the guys who had not been getting a lot of reps, and for them to kind of refocus on the fundamentals and make up some work that maybe they weren't getting as much during the season. And when you think about big picture for a football program, the compounding effect of having bowl practices over a young man's 4-year career, because we're getting better, we're still improving. Okay, all of our players are doing that right now. And then we're going to go into spring football, and our starting point in spring football is going to be a lot higher than when you would if you didn't have these practices. Okay, and you look over how many years it's been since this program has been able to go to a bowl game, the compounding negative effect that will have compared to your competition. And so it's a huge step for our program to be here and out here practicing for sure.
You mentioned recruiting. Do you feel confident you're going to be able to keep all your guys?
Well, you know what? I'm excited about the players that we have that have been committed and what they're doing, and I think like I said, we're balancing the schedules and kind of bouncing around all over the country to check in with them and continue to recruit the new people that are that we're recruiting. I'm excited about the group of guys that we have coming in right now.
I think this past weekend was the last time you could have visits on campus. Like, is there anything you can do recruiting wise
right now?
Like with bowl week, like is there anything you can do, or is that all done?
No, we're the contact period's over now, and we're in the building, and so we have limitations on how much we can even call them and stuff like that. Certain individuals, and so it slows down at least what we can leave campus to do, right?
Andy, with Daniel Highshaw, how has he looked? Has he progressed at all?
Yeah, he has progressed. He's done some. He's been involved with team activities now. He's kind of moving forward with that. He did practice today. His playing status. He did. His playing status is did not. I'm sorry. He did not practice today. But he has been working back in the team activity. His playing status is TBD right now, where he's at.
I'm curious with the December schedule, transfers, traveling. Is it sustainable long term to have all this happening in 3 weeks?
Is it sustainable? Oh, that's a great question. So you're asking me about an NCAA calendar. Is that what you're kind of saying? Like, what does it actually look like?
Everything going on.
It's a grind. It's a grind, right? And between the staff now, we have a recruiting. Our recruiting staff and the people who are in player development, and then you have who are out there and kind of doing the recruiting arm of things. And then you have a strength staff who is continuing to develop your players while you're gone, and then the 10 full-time coaches and Coach Leipold are in the middle, you know what I mean, kind of balancing both of those things the best they can. So you can ask if it's sustainable. They've been doing it forever, you know what I mean? It's always been this way. Really, when you think about it, the thing that's different, as you all know, is the evolution of what's going on in the transfer portal right now and how that works and affects programs across the country. And so it's relative. That's in its infancy, right, in terms of how people learn to manage that. But it's what it is, right? You know what I mean? So you go out there and you continue to develop your program and adjust the needs of the future with recruiting and get guys excited about Jayhawk football.
What's the status of this whole contract situation with you? I mean, as Lance was negotiating and having his discussions and things of that nature, were you paying attention, kept in the loop, hoping that, hey, this could lead to something else for me? I mean, all of that. I know that's a big picture question.
It is a big picture question. You know, we have a great relationship, Coach and I, and obviously he keeps me abreast of some things. You know, obviously some details, you know, he won't share. That's with his family and stuff like that. But he would keep me abreast, and we've been together for a long time. Very fortunate that he wants to stay together. You know what I mean? And you know, credit to him, you know, our chancellor and our athletic director for making it happen, right? And so I'm very fortunate and blessed to be here for as long as I will be now. And it's exciting, you know what I mean? And I think what it illustrates in what I hope people see is that this place so desperately needed some consistency. And for an administration and a coach to recognize that and basically value me being around enough, you know, to do that for as long as we can or are, should indicate how everyone believes about this program right now and where it's going, right? I mean, it's a great place. People know that. And it's been starving for competent football for over a dozen years. And now that they have it, you can just see, you know what I mean, what's it's capable of here. And I saw it, I observed it, right? And so to be a part of it long term, to be a part of the consistency that we've been preaching since we've arrived and amongst the staff, and you look at the other guys in the offensive room and with Coach Leipold, and I'm blessed, I'm pretty fortunate. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah.
Okay, but I'm pretty fired up to be here.
Yeah, no brainer. Just say, I'm in, sign, where do I go?
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
What was the selling point for you? What made you want to stay here this song?
Okay, that's a great question. What's the selling point? Well, this is a fantastic university and this community is awesome. Okay, so start there. So, right. So from a personal standpoint, for my family and me, it's easy. Right. This is a great place to be. But then you look at the trajectory of our football program and where we can go. It has brought me a lot of joy to be a part of rebuilding things. Right. And I'm sure Coach Leipold has said the same thing. So professionally, to know that whatever your goals are, okay, you can get those all done here while turning a program around, okay, which we're doing, and we're taking the steps necessary to do that, is super, super rewarding, very rewarding.
Do you have aspirations to be a head coach ever?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do aspire to be a head coach someday. And Coach knows that, and so, you know what I mean? A lot of people know that. I don't want to make a secret about that. I'm fortunate enough to work for a guy who lets me do a lot of things that head coaches get to do. And that, you know what I mean? And I try to approach my job every day as though if I were sitting in his chair and the kind of decisions to make and things that I can take off of his plate and what might be managing players and staff or whatever it might be. So that's an aspiration or goal of mine for sure.
You hear stories about head coaches bringing in coordinators or coaches, giving them examples of like, hey, this is what it would be if I was in, you know, the head coach's shoes. Like you mentioned that he was to do some things. Like, what are some of those things?
Well, you know, he puts me involved in decisions, right? You know what I mean? In terms of, you know, he keeps me in the loop of his thought process and some of the things you're talking about, scheduling, everything like that, right? The thing I've learned from him that's been awesome in the 10 years that he's fantastic at really thinking about the players first and anything decision he's making in the program. I think when he starts thinking about the lifestyle and the student athlete experience, you know, when you think about those people, when you're making a decision on the schedule, when you're making a decision on the practice plan, or like, so for example, one that we've had to do recently is how are we going to practice during this bowl prep? Like, how are we going to manage the recruiting? How are we going to manage them? Because you can't just go out there for 20 days in a row and practice over and over and over again. That's not really sustainable, right? So how do we simultaneously develop our program and our players and get them better, but still enjoy being around each other, you know, and get ready to win a football game? So it would be things like that, right? You know what I mean? To get into specifics, there's a lot of things that he manages and juggles as the head coach. And so I try to view as, you know, what can I do to take it off his plate?
So is the Hawaii home and home your idea?
The Hawaii what?
Home and home with Hawaii, is that your idea?
Oh, no, no, I don't have anything to do with that. That's his paychecks. That's he handles that.
You mentioned
Coach, you mentioned the compounding effect. We generally see the best program always in a bowl game, generally, nearly every year in a bowl game. Which means they generally every year get the extra month of practice, extra 2 weeks of practice. Is that a cycle that builds on itself, where they're going to be always better than maybe some of their other conference opponents because they're always getting that 3 weeks of practice?
Well, it is year to year, right? You know what I mean? Everything there's always, it's cyclical in nature, right? But and the point I'm making was that if you can consistently have this window of time for your football team to continue to develop as football players, okay, what that allows, and then all of a sudden get another competition, right, that in a bowl game that people can grow and learn from. And then you have that to springboard you into spring football. And then you have spring football that pushes you, into the summer, conditioning program and into the fall camp. Your starting point in every one of those phases is just a little bit higher. If I'm making sense to you. So if a program's able to do that over and over again, regardless of how many people leave their program or stay, whoever is staying in that program through all those cycles, think about how many more practices they have had to get better. So, and I go back to when we were at Wisconsin Whitewater and we were playing for national championships. And that was 5 extra games by the time you went to a national title game than your regular season. So over the course of 2 years, if you were joined our program as a freshman, you would have had a regular season's worth more of preparation than some opponents who didn't make the playoffs. If that that makes sense. And so it's like I said, it's compounding. It's okay. Hey, we're going to start spring football this much higher because we got some bowl practices, and then we're going to start fall camp this much higher because we got bowl practices. Then you go to a bowl game, and we've got that. You know what I mean? So you have a chance for guys to keep stacking opportunities to play football on top of one another. Does it answer your question?
Absolutely, thank you.
Coach, when you look at Arkansas, talk about their defense, what stands out?
Their ability to rush the passer is really impressive. They have done a really good job of generating some pass rush. The number of sacks that they have on the year and stuff is compelling. There are some things that they're going through, right? There are some guys who are going to be unavailable for the bowl game, and so you look at the personnel, and there's some things that we're going to have to hypothesize a little bit on, which is a challenge. But I'm excited for the matchup and what we're able to go out there and do.
When did you first? I mean, they announced Arkansas. Do you look that night?
Sunday.
That
day.
Okay.
Yep. So whenever we found out on Sunday, I started looking at some of their film.
And what are you looking at there? Because I'm sure you look more as the
Yeah.
as
So
the
like,
weeks go on.
are you asking like, what do you game plan like when you got that much more time?
Correct.
Yeah. You watch all of it. You know what I mean? You see everything. You kind of just consistently watch it. And again, you're balancing the recruiting and everything else. And so it's not like when you're in a typical game week, you're in there, you're just fully immersed in a game plan. You watch it all day, every day, and then here it's like, okay, I'm going to go do 2 hours here because I'm going to play, and I'm going to do an hour here, and so it's a little bit more segmented. But you definitely have a chance to see more and digest. I think the most important thing for us, and we do this, and I've always believed this, and I sound like a broken record because I've said it to y'all before, it's more important that we evaluate what we're doing. And we figure out we got to look at I said this during the bye week, we got a chance to look at the whole season of data, all 12 games of what we did well and what we didn't do well, what are our tendencies, and so to go into the bowl game to start to either break the tendencies or continue to do things that we're doing well. So it's this fun in between gray area of putting a capstone on your 2022 season but springboarding you into 2023, and it's a fun little spot to be.
Is it too much time?
Is it too much time?
Prep alone.
Oh man, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like,
You start second guessing your read.
yeah, you can, right? You can talk yourself out of things like, oh my, right? But I guess I've learned, through the years and with experience to just go with your first gut reaction because that's almost always right. And I learned that the hard way a lot of times when you look at bye weeks because it's the same kind of thing. You got all this time, and and then you go all the way full circle, and then you're like, what? We should just do what our first idea was because it was probably right. So.
Curious, wide receiver is a position you guys have pursued in the portal a lot. Why is that something you feel like you guys need to improve?
You always want to have depth in that spot. You know what I'm saying? You always want to feel like you're really some marquee players there, right? And we always want to have competition. And we're doing. Not that we don't have that right now in a lot of our spots, but we actually went into the season less in that room than we normally have, right? From a scholarship standpoint. So where we would like to be, like most programs, we kind of have an earmarked number of scholarships per position, and we came in under in that this season for various reasons, right? And we wanted to say, okay, let's add some more into that room.
Is there anything specific you're looking for in the traits of that player?
Yeah, you're looking for, some speed, right? You're looking for somebody who, when the ball's in their hand, is pretty dynamic. That's what you want. I think those are 2 capable things, the first things that we're looking for. Anything else?
Is this the first off season where you've had programs come in and trying to pry you away from Lance?
First time I've ever had someone pry me away from Lance.
Try to at least.
Well, listen, I won't get into the details of all that stuff. I appreciate you asking. I was flattered. But I think fundamentally, what I would just like to reiterate is, my respect to Hal and him in this place, in this program, and in a world where, as coaches, we get so frustrated with the younger generations that the grass is greener everywhere else, right? Well, we're the biggest culprits of that in our profession, honestly. We are. Look around. Look at the news, right? It's so true. And when you have the opportunity to say that you can reach all your goals right where you're at, in an awesome place, why the hell would you leave? You know what I mean? Why would you do that? And I think that's true for really any of our students that go to school here, any of our student athletes that are in sports. Like, you can achieve any goal that you have right here at this university. Let's go. You know what I mean? Mastery, right? I mean, let's have a blast. You know what I mean? Right, Burke?